Welcome to Travel Tech EMEA 2023, where the transformation begins. By becoming a sponsor at Travel Tech, you'll gain access to an exclusive platform to showcase your brand to a global audience. Here's why you should sponsor our event. Travel Tech provided knowledge to more than 167 countries. Travel Tech is the largest online event in the travel and hospitality industry, reaching the milestone of over 1,500,000 unique impressions in its events. Delivering to the world knowledge, free education, inclusion, and effective networking for evolution in the industry. Being an excellent means of showcasing your brand. Over 80,000 people attended our live events, generating more than 19,000 hospitality and travel-focused leads. Meet the sponsors of Travel Tech EMEA 2023.
In the bustling world of hotels, guests expect prompt, courteous service from booking to check-in, all the way to check-out. Meanwhile, the front desk is overwhelmed with emails, phone calls, check-ins, and guest requests. Introducing Guest Chat, a virtual assistant that helps your staff answer guest questions instantly via chat, 24/7, with a multilingual, fine-tuned white glove service. From booking to check-in, all the way past checkout. Join the revolution in hospitality service. Elevate your guest experience with Guest Chat today.
Analyze only a competitive set, or the total set. Study only prices, or 116 factors. Launch only one price, or 60 different ones. Do you prefer to fill only your accommodation, or your bank account too? TurboSuite, the next generation of revenue management.
Welcome to the future of hotel marketing with HS Latam. Our self-managed, easy-to-edit websites are designed to captivate and convert visitors into customers. High-standard website with top 1 speed in the world. Elevate your online presence with our digital marketing solutions. Reach the right audience at the right time. Optimize your sales strategy to maximize revenue and efficiency. And with our advanced Power by Analytics, track your success and make data-driven. HS Latam, transforming hotel marketing worldwide. Introducing Travel Tech Academy, a platform offering free courses designed to share valuable knowledge from the best professionals in the travel and hospitality industry. Our mission is to provide inclusive learning opportunities for those who may not have the means to gain qualifications otherwise. With Travel Tech Academy, you'll have access to top-notch resources and insights that can help propel your career in the travel and hospitality sector. Over 3,500 professionals have already taken the course on our platform, acquiring knowledge and improving their professional profile. Many professionals, through Travel Tech Academy courses, have managed to find better job opportunities in the job market. For more information, visit traveltechacademy.com. And to become a sponsor of Travel Tech, get in touch through our website, traveltechspace.com, or by email at geraldo@traveltechspace.com. Travel Tech, what else?
Hello everyone, welcome to Travel Tech EMEA 4th edition. Today we'll have Mastering Revenue Management. We have the big sharks from the industry globally here. So this is going to be an incredible session. I would like to say hello to Alessio DynamEat, co-founder, Nicolò Rolle, CCO at Lybra Tech, Diego De Ponga, Palladium Hotel Group, Director of Corporate Revenue Management, Thomas from Room Price Jenny, CMO, Flo from COO of Turbosuite, and our great moderator today, that will be Kris Glabinski, Aggregate Technology Vice President, with a huge also background on revenue management for the entire world. So welcome to Travel Tech. Just to be very fast, you don't take time for nobody. Remind that you can send your questions during the session. We will, if you have questions, we will take over at the end. So welcome, enjoy. And Kris, thank you so much. I will leave, and from now on, Travel Tech is all yours. Welcome, everybody, and thank you, everyone, to be here.
You're on mute, Kris.
You're in mute, Kris. You're in mute. No, happens. Things happens. Just, yeah, we wait. We are live. Live sessions can happen. It's technical issues.
Tech is like that.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, perfectly.
Okay,
Go ahead.
Okay, I just needed to switch the mic. Thank you so much, Vinny. It's a great pleasure to be responsible for a couple of minutes on the Travel Tech show. Welcome everybody who's online. Welcome to our great panelists. We've got some great leaders of the industry in revenue management, really hot topics still. We've had some past evolutions happening from COVID, I guess, and the pandemics in the revenue management technology. So it's going to be a really interesting session. And I will like to ask you guys to introduce yourself and your companies and what is connecting you with revenue management, so that all our audience could understand our backgrounds and where we come from. Could we start from you, Alessio? Just we go around the clock, introductions.
Sure. Thank you so much. So as you say, I'm Alessio. I'm from DynamEat. I don't know, some people call DynamEat, some call other one DynamEat. But anyway, doesn't really matter. What really matters is what we do. So we are a company that actually from the pandemic. We built our fortune because we started just 3 weeks before COVID. So imagine founding a startup when everything going shut down. It was quite challenged, but we survived, and it has helped a lot us because we've been able to implement our technology by using digital method. So what we do, summarizing, is we apply revenue management techniques. Like dynamic pricing and smart menu to F&B outlets. So we work with both. We work with the restaurant, so the normal restaurant that you have around the city, but also and mainly with F&B outlets coming from hotels. And for example, Palladium is one of our current customers. And indeed, we are very happy because I was and I'm still a revenue manager. This is something that is like. I think Diego could agree with me. It's like have a disease. You have these things and you see revenue everywhere. So I was revenue in NH for my last 10 years, and then that is why we founded DynamEat in 2020. So this is a little bit who I am and where I come from and where I want to go. And pleasure to be here with all you guys.
Amazing. Thank you, Alessio, for your introduction. I'm really glad to see that revenue management is increasing the perspective into an F&B sector. That's great to see. Nicolò, could you follow?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much, Vinicius, for having me here and sharing this time with some friends for a long time, and also some probably experienced people in the sector of hospitality. So thank you so much again for having me here, and also Kris for moderating this session. My name is Nicolò Rolle. I'm the CCO of Lybra Tech. So Lybra Tech is a company, is an Italian-based company that was born recently, so in 2016, but had pretty much a very nice growth through this year. Besides the COVID, as also Alessio mentioned, actually the COVID was one of the opportunities that give us more incentive, to go deeper in the practice of revenue management. So Lybra Tech, as a matter of fact, what it did, it developed a new generation RMS that, let's say, compared to traditional RMSs in the market, it's more demand-centric, and it's based on advanced machine learning algorithms. So it's going to be interesting, to give some insight of how a new generation revenue management system works, and also, hearing from people that are using revenue management system on a daily basis to do operation and to optimize the revenue in the hotel. Also, Lybra Tech is part of Zucchetti Group, which is a large computer software house in Italy that operates in different industries or verticals, but within the hospitality vertical, or also, we are working in different aspects, so not only revenue management, but also, PMSs, CRSs, channel managers. So we cover, the whole spectrum of hospitality, especially for the hotel industry. So that's pretty much me. I've been experienced in the sector of hospitality in the technology since I started working. So almost 20 years of experience in the technology for hotels. So I'm glad to to try to share some insights of my experience in this forum. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nicolò. You look pretty young for a veteran of travel technology. Diego, could you follow next, please?
Yeah, thank you, Kris, for the introduction. Thank you, Vinicius, for giving me the opportunity to be here, surrounded with friends, because I know Nicolò and Alessio for a long time ago. I'm Diego Fernández. I'm the Corporate Director of Revenue Management at Palladium. Palladium is a Spanish company based in Ibiza. We found the company almost 52 years ago, and we have more than 16,000 rooms around the world. We are mainly focused on resort spaces, but also we have some city hotel chains like Only You and Bless. I'm also in my free time that I don't have a lot of time to write, but in March of this year, I published my first book, The Art of Revenue, which is probably the biggest book written in Spanish in terms of revenue management. And if I hope in January next year, I will publish it in English also. So I try to give lectures also in universities. So I'm a passionate worker of this industry and the revenue management perspective.
Wow, amazing! Congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
It will be very interesting to see it in English.
Yeah.
But surely that's great, because the education of revenue management, we can see it grows. It didn't stop with Talluri from 1980. It's going further. Thanks so much, Diego. Flo, could you follow?
Audio. You can hear me now?
Yeah,
Perfect.
very well.
I'm Flo. I'm the COO of Turbosuite. We're a fairly young company based out of Spain with representation in LATAM also. The company was born, typical startup story, as the necessity to kind of shake up the status quo, where our founder didn't like really the technology out there and felt that he has a different approach. And in a nutshell, what we do is we have a holistic approach to accommodation. So we cater to short-term rentals, vacation rentals, hotels, hostels, you name it, with the idea to mimic the guests' journey when they book a property, when they have an idea of going on a journey, may it be for pleasure or for business, when they go to one of the OTAs or any of the booking sites. All they know, they have a destination in mind, they have a bit of a budget in mind, and they want to maximize their experience for their budget. And we return this, and we'd like to give them the best possible offer for their money and position our clients in the best possible way, so they can compete with the whole marketplace. Companies very much focused still on LATAM and Spain, as I mentioned, and we're now venturing out into Europe. And I'm really here more to learn from all the specialists present. I've been working in the tourism industry for 10 years, airline tech, short-term rentals, data, but I'm not exactly a revenue management specialist like Diego, but more take it from the technology side.
Thank you so much, Flo. That's amazing. And it's very interesting to hear that necessity is the mother of invention. And that necessity either comes from lack of technology on the market that would be ideal for a specific segment, or it was the COVID that brought a lot of necessity for companies to innovate. That's great to hear. Thank you so much, Flo. And last but not least, Thomas.
I know. Thank you for having me, Kris, and everybody. Welcome. Tough act to follow after published book authors and founders of companies, but I'll do my best. Hey, my name is Thomas, but you figured that one out. I work with Room Price Genie, and as the name is pretty obvious what we do, we help hotels with their room prices. So we're in the revenue management space. We help independent hotels with the technology to automate room prices updates. I come from a hotel background. I've worked at multiple places around the world and multiple hotels. And I had at one point the opportunity to become a revenue manager when revenue management was just kicking off of like, hey, we're hiring on-site revenue managers. I was working for Fairmont at that point, and I did 5 days in the revenue management office and decided that was not my skill set. And look at me, I'm back at revenue management. Anyway, worked at hotels, worked at different marketing agencies, and then I spent my last 10 years, or a little shy of 10 years, at Revenate, working in guest data, helping hotels to understand all about their guest and collecting that guest data. And since about a little shy of 2 years, I've been with Room Price Genie, preaching revenue management to hotels around the world. So glad to be here. Let's dive into the questions.
All right. I said last but not least, but actually I'll be the last. But it's very interesting to see that we've repeated, once a revenue manager, always a revenue manager, no matter where you go. So mine is just to finish off the introductions. My name is Kris. I'm from Aggregate Intelligence. I have, I don't know how many years background in revenue management, revenue development, distribution, been involved in travel tech companies for the last 15 years or so. And what we do at this moment with Aggregate Intelligence, and we are the big data guys that delivering the intelligence to end customers like hotels, airlines, or rent-a-cars, or we deliver the big data, really big data of price intelligence to revenue management system companies, PMSs, or channel managers. So I've been on the RevMan side. Now we are on the data side. So that kind of changes, but always have a feeling of a revenue manager as well. So let's start our questions. The main subject of today is revenue management. But as the travel tech event, we will obviously look at revenue management from a technical perspective. However, we will also discuss how that technology influences the people in the revenue management roles, what effects it brings to individual hotels, and obviously we will also look at the F&B sector, which I think is something that will expand very quickly in the next coming years. Before we jump into the first theme of questions, those who are online, please introduce yourself on the chat on the right-hand side, and please ask questions as we go. As you hear the panelists, we shall be able to answer all the questions. So let's kick off with the first theme about leveraging technology for revenue management. And let me start with Diego, if I may, and ask you one question. And obviously that question is the core of the new times that we have now. How can emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things be integrated into revenue management? I think we've had a big jump in the last 12 months with AI. In everywhere, we kind of catching up on how to use that. So Diego, how these technologies can integrate those innovations.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Kris. I think that before us were that, I think that it's pretty obvious that in terms of some part of our job, we have incorporated AI and all these new fancy ways to do things, like the forecasting. The forecasting right now is, I think that probably is the most advanced technology that we have in the hospitality industry. We have been using an RMS doing algorithms since 7 years ago. But I think that nowadays, or at least I don't see that in the market, that I'm always asking that to my teams. How many hours per week do you spend doing reports and trying to do reports that tell the GM of the hotel how the hotel works and how the hotel is doing things and getting the numbers, I'm really fascinated by ChatGPT. I mean, I think that this is going to change the paradigms of our jobs in the near future, for sure. I'm used that since they launched that. I spend a lot of time per week doing reports. So nobody is asking why all this fancy technology and all this technology could adapt the processes and the way that they work with ChatGPT and all these new functionalities. I mean, having a revenue manager copy and pasting data from a Excel or a RMS to a Word or a PowerPoint to do a presentation, for me right now is a waste of time. So in a simple way to use technology, because sometimes we think that using technology is create a fancy algorithm, but we spend more time doing reports than doing forecasting sometimes. So for me, next step in the industry, it has two ways. And this is the simple way to use this kind of technology. Try to incorporate ChatGPT technology to do reports and to do presentation. I mean, the revenue managers are not good doing PowerPoint presentations. You know, we do always the pivot tables and we copy and paste with our format, and we are not good enough right now to sell our ideas in a PowerPoint. So why the technologies that our revenue managers use could do that for us? I mean, you need to click a button and the business review is prepared in your inbox in 5 minutes. Okay, this is something that it could disrupt the industry right now, and it's so simple like that. Try to incorporate all the data that we have daily in a nice way, to put in our hands in a nice way possible. And also, I think that we need to use more this AI, more this technology that is becoming more important daily with the competitors. I mean, we use a lot of technology to get and to collect data from competitors. And sometimes it's complicated to get this niche data from them. Trying to see if we could observe that there is a trend in the market in 5 months. I think that we are not having the time enough to look ahead about our competitors. So this is another thing that we could adapt soon in the hospitality market, in the tech space, if being specific. So for my side, there is two simple questions, or two simple things to do right now with the artificial intelligence, which is try to do our job in terms of presentation and present numbers in a nice way, in a very nice way, that click one button and one wonderful presentation for the next business review appears, and trying to help us to not gather information because we have that information, try to ingest all that information that we have from our competitors. Because as I've said, I think that these technologies are really well ingest by technological providers in a algorithm calculation, for example.
Thank you so much. That's really interesting. And yes, you're right. Everybody's now onto ChatGPT, but I'm not sure how many of all these 100 million people can actually utilize it. So is that something that you have been implementing in your hotel chain, Diego?
Sorry?
Is that something that you have been implementing in your hotel chain, in your hotel processes?
Well, we are trying to incorporate this kind of technology, trying to help revenue managers to do the business report, the business review, the weekly business review that it takes so many time to do that sometimes is copy and paste information from your EMEA to a Word file or a PowerPoint file. We're trying to think how can we do without touching the hands of the revenue manager, because if, on the other hand, if we do so simple, we have some risk that the revenue manager that control the hotel, indeed, because he knows that or she knows that giving one button and appears all the information is so easy that one revenue manager could lose the control of their properties. But yes, we are trying to figure out how can we help them to waste less time doing reports right now.
That's amazing. And have you seen any increase in price making decisions from reducing the back end work and crunching data, creating reports?
For sure. 10 years ago, we did all manually, and we had almost 90 reports in the department so years ago, and it was a waste of time doing all this reporting work, so for sure, I mean, I don't have the numbers here, but it's a lot of money that you could do instead of doing reports, doing pricing, for sure.
Exactly. That's where the value comes. Guys, do you have any other insights into that question?
If I may, Kris, just to reply on, in my opinion, on Diego's question regarding introducing artificial intelligence into operational things of a hotel or a group, like Diego said. Obviously, it's helpful. ChatGPT is helpful. I use it myself, for sales purposes, which is great. You can even understand how you can do with in terms of sales with ChatGPT, but also in terms of reporting. It's true. But what I think the future of revenue manager holds in terms of data analytics and AI, definitely, I think the new system will rely more on data analytics because, obviously, with advanced algorithms, not only you can, basically portray reports that can be helpful for you, but I think that what really AI will help with, it's actionability, because at the end of the day, it's true that revenue manager still nowadays are looking a lot. Even if they have a revenue management system, they use a lot of Excels. It's a fact, because it's a custom. It's we have all our Excels with the pivot table, with macro and so on. Fair enough, so you lots of people still want to work this way, but at the end of the day, we know that we can add the report to understand what's happening. We can have business intelligence that can help us to do that, but we also need action, right? So I think that what AI will bring on the table, and I think that would still see a limited part of the AI. I think that the more we're going to use the AI, the more advanced it will get, because also it will learn and it will understand more patterns, more insights, and the more actionability and the more predicted of demand we will get, and the faster we can take this action, and the faster we can optimize operational wise, if in terms of reporting, or also in terms of generating more revenue, if we're talking about revenue management. So I think it's one of the insights that we're seeing in the present, but we're also going to see in the future of of revenue management.
So is that something that you guys are working on to focus more in the future on actionability of the revenue managers and more automation, or?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, our system, already working with some algorithm of machine learning, but the AI, will, the AI that will come in the future, as you said, Kris, will help in automate decision-making processes, enabling more dynamic and personalized pricing strategies. Because there are so many factors nowadays that drive, a decision in terms of, for example, acquiring, getting a room, in a hotel. It's not only just a few factors. So it's important, with the AI that can factor in into the algorithm all these factors, trying to understand all these patterns, and in just a few seconds, gives some outcome of actionability. Actionability can be in terms of price, in terms of creating a marketing campaign on Google AdWords to try to grasp, for example, a latent demand that didn't convert into a reservation yet, but we understand that there's a demand there. So how can we get it? How can we get it fast so the competition doesn't get it, and we have a leverage or a competitive advantage on that? So definitely it's something that I think, or at least we are thinking to implement more and more into what we do.
Yeah, I think
internally, but also externally to the client as well.
For sure, I think you're right. So I'm just curious. We've talked about hotels, but unusually we have Alessio here representing revenue management and F&B sector. So Alessio, are these also your challenges, and do you see opportunities around an F&B revenue management going into an AI direction? How does it look, if you could describe in your sector?
I mean, at the end, my sector is the same of the rest here of the people, and the challenge is quite the same that Nicolò is facing every day with the Lybra. So when we start DynamEat, at the end, we feed the system with machine learning and AI in order to provide those recommendations in terms of pricing. And not only pricing, but also menu configuration to really adapt to the demand, but not only to the demand, because at the end, when you go to the restaurant, it seems it's simple, because I will not say that it's so complicated like we used to do on room. There are several strategies that you can do on the rooms, but it's true there are a lot of components, different components. First of all, for example, the cost. The cost in the F&B is extremely important. So the marginality, what you really actually, when we always talk about profitability, and that is the key point, and a little bit the point of the discipline, to move forward and talk about profitability. Second, you have then other parameter to take into account. That could be, for example, popularity of the dishes and forecast pricing elasticity. So there are several things. So you need a strong artificial intelligence platform, so that the tool maybe itself is simple, but then you need to have something behind that is extremely powerful to give you at the end the most accurate recommendation. And it's something that you can execute the strategy. So that is what we are facing today. The challenge that we have when we talk about F&B revenue, I mean, there are the common challenges that are impacting all the industry, regardless, especially the hospitality industry, regardless what you do, so such as the labor shortage and these things. But going a little bit more in detail of F&B and specifically in hotel as well, the challenge are like technology integration are always there. You need to integrate several systems, and it's not very developed like the room part, I would say. And then for me, and who know me and maybe have seen me talking about this in other forum, I think there are like challenge in terms of culture, processes, and technology game. like enables, and this not in that specific order, but even when you talk about F&B with the revenue manager, and when I contact people for DynamEat, they always say, "Oh, you know what? F&B is not my area." So that is already an issue, because they are like, okay, I'm revenue, so my word is room revenue. So they don't see, it's not everybody, yeah, but what I'm seeing that is already revenue manager, they are putting their boundaries on that. So and also there is a culture in the revenue that is coming from several years now. So it's well established, so it's fine. But in the other revenue part is not that developed. No, so the organization first, or the challenge first, is to really establish this culture. Then, of course, the process. What I see today, and sometimes we have this conversation also with our partner. At the end, who is in charge of what? So who is doing the strategy? Especially when we talk of F&B, I mean, who is the one that need to take the decision on pricing? It has to be the revenue, has to be the F&B, so that this create that challenge, no? And you need to establish a clear process when you do that. There are several ways. We can talk how a company doing that, or how another company doing that. But at the end, it's important to define and to have clear the objective and how you want to achieve that. And then, of course, the enablers, like the technology. In that case, again, for me, there is a gap, not for me, for everyone. In the industry, they know there is a huge gap if we compare what we have available for rooms and what you have available for the other revenue streams. No, I mean, there is a huge gap, and that is that gap that we are trying to fill in with the technology like DynamEat. No, in terms for me also of opportunities, if you give me this, if you ask me, of course, there is all the part of the digital transformation that this imply a step forward for the company. That goes on the direction of what was saying before, Nicolò, about the personalization. No, they try to provide a more personalized and increase the experimental dining or experience in general of the customer, and that is need to be the focus of any new project when you start things like this. And of course, for me, those opportunities not only are in terms of money, because when we go deeper and we see, when you start to optimize other incomes, you see then there is also a big return on other incomes that you didn't have at the beginning. So, and that is what I think is important. We need to switch the culture to a very total asset optimization. So thinking of the hotel like a full asset, how I can improve the total asset. And this is just not part of the revenue. Revenue has a big part of it, but it's also the design. And I think Diego can confirm this. The design we are now doing, the hotels are completely changed. No, it's just the artificial intelligence. It's also how they are building the new property, with maybe changing the position of the reception, changing the way you think, be local. So all these things are extremely important when you want to implement that asset optimization. Okay.
Thank you, Alessio. That's very, very interesting. But it leads me to start thinking. So obviously, you're filling the gap. You're doing new things, adding to a total revenue management. But what is interesting is to understand how the revenue technology companies understand the new needs of users. So if I could ask that question to Flo, you have identified the necessity of bringing some new innovations into the industry. How do you read user needs? How do you follow how they are evolving?
So I wanted to go back to a quick something that Diego said earlier, because it leads to your question. When we sometimes deal in any company, really, it doesn't necessarily just have to be revenue management and hospitality, where you sometimes have an interface between very data-driven teams and maybe a sales team, or data-driven team and management. And then there's the intent of a knowledge transfer. And we have this when we work with revenue managers. They have data available. They need to provide a forecast, but it needs to be done in a quick way, and it needs to be in a way that's easily understandable for someone in a business level. And I think this is kind of where technology comes in, where very often we focus a lot on faster, higher, more, quicker. But I think at the end of the day, technology's aim always has to be to support the weaknesses of us feeble humans. And when there's someone who's data driven, and maybe it's not theirs in their natural skill set to stand in front of a room of people and point at a PowerPoint and say, this is what's going on. And we've all been there in meetings where you just think like, please come to a point, please get to your conclusion, because the room is falling asleep. So that leads also kind of to the question of AI. And as I mentioned, not just revenue management. I think AI will and can be so helpful in many disciplines, if we keep a bit of an eye on it and don't misuse it for just driving the more, the bigger. And then coming back more specifically to your question, I think there's always a bit of a circle going on, where sometimes the innovation comes from the client. When I talk to my sales team, I say, you are the feet on the street, you are on the front line, you're talking to clients. And we had a chat with Palladium, not necessarily our typical client. We are usually a little bit below that. But it was interesting to see their requirements, what we can do, what we can't do today. And then also kind of to see what is our market match, and to see, can we already scrape kind of on the really big chains, or are we still kind of in this mid segment? And then on the other side, it's just this internal process where us as innovators, we need to challenge our clients' way of working. And we have this sometimes when we do demos, where literally revenue managers said to our face, if I show this to my boss, I'm going to lose my job. Meaning they will be replaced. And our CEO, he's very frank, he's very brutal sometimes, but he's the true challenger. And he said, no, you're not going to be replaced by us. You're going to be replaced by someone using a solution like ours. And this is kind of where we see things going. Also going back to your initial kind of conversation about AI, I think we can all agree we're far from handing over the reins to a machine pressing a button and expecting the ideal outcome. And AI will more and more get to the point where we really feel like we have this personal assistant, again, in any discipline, also for consumers. I feel like I want to go on a trip. Hey, AI, plan me something nice. And then I think Airbnb was just talking about this and acquired a company. And you will have the Siris and Cortanas of this world serving you a menu. And yes, and we as companies, we need, I think it's a 50-50 process, really, to get back to your question. It needs to be in-house innovation that you check with the market. Sometimes you need to change behaviors and need to challenge behaviors. And that's also, for me personally, as I mentioned, I come initially from the short-term rental industry, more vacation rentals. And I always looked at the hotel industry and expected it to be so much more advanced. And I've now been here for 1.5 years and realized that, yeah, just like any other industry, you have a whole range of professionalism. And there's companies like Palladium, for example, that are very data-driven, very professional, spending a lot of money on technology. And then there's obviously the very small players down to the I've got one little hotel, regional, 10 rooms. And this is also kind of where technology is now creeping in to help these people get on par and fight at the same eye level with the guys from Palladium, for example.
Well, that's a great, I think, introduction to our next kind of theme, which is about how revenue manager roles adapt to the technology that we have. And I think you've already mentioned that first there is this fear of being replaced, but it was a great quote from your CEO who said you'll be not replaced by technology, but someone who uses that technology. I think that's brilliant. So let's focus on that. And Nicolò, I know that it's something that you're also working on. How do you envision the impact on revenue managers given by AI and revenue management systems?
You're on mute, Nicolò.
Second. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, you're on.
Can you hear me? Okay, sorry. There's some delay as well in my video, so I hope you can hear me clearly. I was just saying that's very good question, Kris, because I think implementing a revenue management system can have a significant impact on the role of a revenue manager. Especially if we're talking about in the hospitality industry now. I think there are perhaps aspects that are good and can simplify, let's say, or make the job easier for a revenue manager, as we mentioned, especially now with the advent of more advanced technology, like we said before, the AI, machine learning, and also the automation is definitely something that can help, the routine task, such as data collection, analysis, even for the decision-making process, because as we mentioned earlier, we're used to try to get all this data first, extract the data, put them on an Excel, try to make some sense out of it, and then act. So obviously nowadays, we have the technology that allows to crunch all this data in a very fast way to be able to take action. So that automation of routine tasks is definitely a plus. Then obviously that will also lead to real-time insights as well. So this system nowadays provide most of the time real-time data and insights. So that means fresh data and actionable data that we can work on to generate more beneficial in terms of responding also to the market changes, as well, because the market is volatile, especially we've seen lately in these years, how events can impact so much, and we can still see now, with wars, political events, that how can impact as well, the way people book or the way people react on that, And then I think also another positive point that revenue management system and new technology brings is definitely the forecast accuracy, because as I said, all this system can help revenue manager predict the demand by understanding all the patterns, optimizing pricing, optimize other streamline of revenues, and so adjust this strategy in a more dynamically way, which at the end of the day can lead to more revenue generation. On the other end, I think that there is also some, let's say, I'm not going to call it the negative aspect, but let's say more complex aspect, because I think, as also mentioned earlier, we're human, we are accustomed to work in a certain way. So obviously, when you implement a revenue management system in your property, you're starting to deal with a lot of data volume and complexity, and sometimes people are sometimes reluctant to let's say trust the system or trust what the system does for you, and so that that's something that I think us as technology provider, we need to also to educate that market, especially because obviously here, as also Flo mentioned earlier, revenue management system before were using largely more from global changes or big corporation, because they also had the money to be able to, invest on that type of technology. Nowadays, let's say revenue management systems are more, used not only from this large corporation, but also from mid-scale or even like very small properties, because they understand the value of it. It's like happened before in any kind of technology. We saw that with channel managers. Before, no one used a channel manager, only big hotels, and nowadays even like 10-room apartments can use a channel manager. So it's also a matter of little by little adopting the new technology. And also, one other complex thing, I guess, in terms of revenue manager that goes along to what I just mentioned is also the learning curve. So basically implementing and effectively utilize this system might require some time, but also, especially what I think it's very important, it's to implement a culture of revenue management within the company before acquiring a system. So this, I think, are the points, that can impact, an implementation of revenue management system and also into the revenue managers themselves. I don't know what Diego is here in this call, so maybe also as a user or revenue manager can give some insights as well on this matter.
Yeah, for sure. I think that I completely agree with what Flo said. If you have a revenue manager who thinks that the technology is going to replace their job, please change the revenue manager. Because the property is going to have problems with that revenue manager in the future, for sure. I mean, technology is here, and we do some daily task nowadays who is going to be replaced by some machine, for sure. I'm pretty sure of that, because we do a lot of manual work right now in the hospitality industry. So this learning curve that Nicolò has said is something related to with the educational purpose of our revenue management culture and all these kind of things. I mean, there is a lack of revenue management culture in the industry because we have been thinking about cost and not income in the last 20 years, at least in Europe and mainly in Spain. We were a really good cost controllers, but not good really income driver companies for a long time. So I think that the COVID hit us really hard to the hoteliers, and we needed to think about incomes and how can we improve our income and try to be more efficient in the way that we control incomes in our company. I don't know if I have answered your question, Nicolò, but there is a lot of things to change in the industry right now in terms of culture for the companies, also culture for the owners of the companies. If you work in a company and your boss, the GM of the hotel, tells you that I don't want an RMS because it's a cost, you can run away and try to get another job in another company or another hotel if you are a revenue manager. And this is something clear as that.
Sorry, I'd just like to add something quickly, since I come more from a, like I said, data background, and I thought selling an RMS must be the easiest thing on the planet.
Yeah.
And I always, in a demo, I say like, hey, I really like doing this because it's, at a certain extent, a very honest product, because either we create a positive ROI, and it's already, I mean, it's there, you can measure it. And it's many other things. We talked about channel managers, there's tools that help operations and so on and so forth, where you need to go a level deeper to understand the value that it brings to your organization. And with revenue management, it's really, you spend $1, you make $2, and you see it below the line. And then you're you're talking to people. And for us, then it's very much when you go to the lower end of the market, when people are just getting into this. And for us, it's really hitting on the value, because it's, the cost is clear, they see it, And even if you do calculations and simulations, there's someone in the background who says, "No, I'm not going to spend that money, and I'm going to hire the guy to push a button and work the Excel." And but I think, like we said, with channel managers and all, this is where we are at the moment, and it will evolve. Solutions will become easier and easier to be able to be used by anyone, and it will be as common as all the technology that has established itself.
Hey Flo, I think every sales
And
or
Flo,
commercial person, in another job is always looking at the other industries and says they must have it easy, and the PMS guys look at the RMS guys and say they have it easy, and we look at the PMS guys and say, well, that's a critical software, so they have it easy. So that's going around everywhere. So
yes, exactly.
Yeah,
And
I think so. I just wanted to add my two pieces. Well, sorry, delayed.
Go ahead. We have a delay. Go ahead, Nico.
Sorry. I wanted to add my piece of sense because I also had the same experience. As said, I was working many years ago in another company that was a channel manager provider at the time. Channel manager was the new guy in place, and again, the adoption of that system in the beginning was hard, because people understood the value, but at the end of the day, they were stuck with that idea that, oh, I'm going to hire 2 or 3 people, to do all the distribution for me. Eventually, nowadays, we know that channel manager product are a commodity, and I guess revenue management system will get to that levels. Even still, like if we're talking about worldwide, there's still a very small percentage of revenue manager user in the hotel industry. You could be surprised in some area of Europe that lots of hotels they don't have a booking engine yet. So just to let you know, so if they don't have a booking engine yet, can you imagine getting a revenue management system? So it's getting there. It's also, as I said, our job also as technology provider to educate the market, make them see what they can gain, not only in terms of getting more revenue, but also saving time, because we're always talking about saving time. If I can do as a revenue manager, concentrate more on strategic analysis rather than, task that a machine can do, only just by saving time, I can save the money. So it's another, way to see it as well, in my opinion.
So let me ask you all this question, because I think it's very interesting in terms of changing the roles of revenue management. Well, obviously, we need to be vocal about changing the approach from cost to investment. And revenue system, it's not a cost, it's an investment, really. But what do you think, guys, the role of revenue manager will be like in the near future, considering all the AI and technology? Because in the past, it was more of a mathematician, statistician, and Excel expert type of role. Will it be more now, with all the big data, more a data scientist type of role? Or will it be for anybody, because the AI will cover all the difficult stuff, and then anyone could become a revenue manager? Can you just, can we just go around the table and have your opinion on that?
I have a strong opinion, and I'll start with that. So I'll kick it off. Thank you. I am always surprised as a marketeer by trade. Is like, why does price is not included in any part of marketing in a hotel? So hotels are pretty much the only business in the world where we take product and promotion in place, and we say price is a completely separate department. We make a revenue management department that's disconnected from everything else that we do in the hotel, and that's traditionally how it was. And it's in many cases still the case, right? We have a revenue manager that's separate from a sales department, that's separate from a marketing department. If you look at, and this is already discussed, right? And I want to call it the monkey business, and it's not derogatory or bad, but just the business of punching in rates and the business of optimizing, punching in numbers into a system like you did in a channel manager is something that will be completely automated. For me, the future is much more around how do we combine a commercial view of a hotel, and how do we include price, packaging, placement of what channels you're going to use, and what advertising and what marketing are you going to create to that, and what audience are you going to actually segment or cater towards. And that is where revenue management will hit. Pricing is just one small part of a complete revenue management strategy, talking about even food or parking and the whole shebang around it. But pricing is one portion and an important portion of that, but it should live with a commercial or a marketing or an outgoing function for that. And talking about, hey, Diego, I finally understand why I'm never good at pivot tables and I'm good at making PowerPoint presentations. Maybe we can learn something from each other. But this is where I do think, and talking to revenue managers, there is that two schools, right? Some people are really good in that pivot, analyzing and things, but we kind of drawn way too deep into the numbers and analysis paralysis and losing kind of the overall profitability or overall how can we maximize the complete results of a hotel. And I think that's where the opportunity lies versus more spreadsheets, more data analysis, more number crunching, because that's work we can easily automate and have done by machines.
Interesting.
And let's not. All right.
Sorry. Interesting. So you're thinking revenue marketing manager as a role?
I think there's a lot of opportunity to. I completely missed the point why somebody in a marketing department comes up with a package and then have a revenue management in another department, and these two people don't talk to each other and say, well, you know what, we're going to do completely different things with our rates. Why are these people not combining and thinking strategically? How can we sell the max to combining, F&B, combining other amenities, combining services, and actually maximize that potential spend of a guest versus let's independently from each other try to do our job as best as we can.
Oh, okay. So we've got mathematician, data scientist, novice, or revenue market manager. Alessio, what's your take?
I agree with Thomas. I mean, I've been seeing this kind of scene so many times. When you start fighting with marketing or with some sales guy that, I have a big deal on the table, and you start tumbling because, oh my God, what did you promise? What rate did you promise to the customer? From my past experience, I think first of all, the revenue management need, of course, to talk with and to have conversation with all the different departments to align the strategy. Technology, from my perspective, need to really support the daily tasks, those things that we already said in the beginning. The revenue manager also need to look at beyond rooms because that is and that you need time at the end. So you need tools that help you on other things to maybe take care of the spa, of the restaurant, the room service in a proper and a strategic way as well. No, because at the end is a matter to increase the total guest spend and not only what you are able to do on online at the end. So that is the targets. For me, the time where technology will replace a human at the hotel is very far from it. Because when I was revenue manager, one of my main complaint, I will not say the name, but one of my main complaint with the RMS is the lack of a group forecast. That is the big things when we talk about RMS, and where I think the forecast that was saying before Nicolò. Of course, the forecast is important, but one of my mentor and my former boss was saying the forecast is done, but the revenue manager is meant to the forecast accuracy. We had so many conversations about forecast accuracy, how important it will be, and so on. The forecast is done, but the revenue manager need to be able to impact that forecast. Because the forecast is not your target. The forecast is just what you think about the future. But if you don't, if you are not reaching that forecast, then you need to implement specific strategy to gain wherever. Or on the other way around, if you are reaching the forecast, you need to optimize more and not stop, because at the end it's not your target. The forecast is just a vision, but you need to be to impact that that thing. So for me, the revenue manager of the future is someone that need to have a full knowledge not only of the revenue management, because I was the kind of revenue manager that maybe I'm not that very good with Excel or wherever I was not that freaky, but you need also to be the one who convince the people that you are right, and that means that you have a strategy, and you maybe have a conversation with the GM, a general manager of your hotel, and that GM, you know, that is very strong, that is very do not accept specific answer. So you need also to stand up and say, okay, this is what we are going to do. This is the strategy, because this is what I see by analyzing data, because this is my strategic position, and this is what we need to follow. So the skill of a revenue manager is not only to be like a visionary to set the right strategy, whatever, on optimize the channel and so on, but it's also to selling what you are, of course, your strategy. Of course, you need to be supported by number at the end of the day, but this is also part of the revenue manager. So I think we need also to work with and this was part of the program in NH, to also allow these people to have more confidence on their expertise. So it's not only that. I think it's important. I like a lot how lately Auto Insight has changed the name to Lighthouse. I think a revenue manager need to be the lighthouse of the hotel, because we have that knowledge, we have that data, so we need to really think how where we need to go.
All right.
And
So
avoid to crash.
So we're adding Lighthouse Manager into our revenue marketing manager. Nicolò, just quickly, what's your take?
You're muted.
You are on mute. Then with the delay.
Sorry, guys, I mute myself because there's some. Can you hear me? Sorry about that. Yeah, there's some background noise where I am, so that's why I muted myself. So yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, the lighthouse, fantastic analogy. Also, I would call it as well assistant. You know, that assists you in your daily job. You know, I think that as probably we mentioned, or Alessio mentioned, also Thomas mentioned before, like that. I guess there's a transition, in my opinion, in the figure of revenue manager in more a strategic approach. So I think that we touched some point, like obviously being more data analysis and interpretation expert, understanding more the technology, but I think at the end of the day, as well, know the market, developed also soft skills, as we said, it's not only about the data, but also being strong. The revenue manager needs to be strong into communication, because sometimes what happens, or at least I experienced when I worked in hotels at the time, maybe the figure of revenue manager was not so implemented, but still sometimes, the sales overtake, the decision or potential decision that a revenue manager puts into the plate. So it's very important for the new revenue manager to be able to develop this strong communication, negotiation skills. So I think, as we mentioned, revenue manager, needs to talk with other departments within the hotel, sales, marketing, operation, to be able to to negotiate internally for better deals, to be able that the outcome it's more beneficial. Yes, I think that's what I think. In terms of what's the new figure, the transition of a new figure of revenue manager in terms of with the advent of these new technologies.
Okay, so you're adding diplomatic and negotiation skills into that role. Very good, Diego. What's your take?
Yeah.
I completely agree with both, with all the people here. I mean, there is a big disconnection between sales, revenue, and marketing departments in the industry. but there is a magic trick to solve that. Have the same boss, and at least to align some points. I think that there is a real disconnection between these three departments that are key in the industry, because these departments bring the sales and we live from the sales. If we don't get sales, the hotel and the company is dead. Simple as that. Having these three roles in the same person is going to cost a lot of money. It's going to cost a lot of money because it's really complicated to have these kind of roles in the same person. But for sure, revenue managers need to go into the strategic side that Nicolò was talking about. We need to move forward to the strategic point of view of sales, because part of the tactic is going to be made by the algorithm from the RMS. For sure, in 10 years, probably nobody is going to see the pricing strategy for the superior rooms, because it's going to be automatized for the RMS. We do that right now in some properties. And other chains like NH, for example, has automatizations in pricing strategies for periods, for a specific period. So in 10 years, nobody is going to do pricing daily, in the daily basic decision. So you need to take the revenue management role into a strategic perspective in terms of pricing strategies, channel mix, total revenue, and profits. Okay, how the incomes go to other P&L and how the incomes convert into profitability, which is the next step that the revenue managers need to do. We need to start thinking in GOPAR instead of PREPAR, and we need to start thinking in net ADR instead of ADR. If we do that a step further, probably we have more years of work, of job. Because if not, if your daily basis task right now is changing prices, you have 10 years of work, no more. So you need to evolve a lot. You need to evolve if you are a revenue manager. I have some doubts about the timing that revenue managers take to take a decision, because every single decision needs time. But also, I'm with Thomas that the paralysis by analysis is really, really tricky question for revenue managers. I think that sometimes revenue managers takes a lot of time to make a decision that the decision was gone. So we need to learn about how can we become more quick in taking actions, being a revenue manager, and in the mid and long-term vision, try to be more strategic for our companies.
All right. So yes, you're right. So I will revise the long title into a business commercial revenue manager, probably covering all the departments, unless Flo will add something more into that title.
No, like one thing that pops into my head is, because you mentioned something, could in the future anyone be a revenue manager? I think in the future anyone can do anything, be a pilot, be anything, as long as things work out. But as soon as they go wrong, you need someone again to understand why it's going wrong, why activities didn't play out, and then what kind of courses action to apply. So I think from that respect, the profile will have very, very similar requirements as it has today. And I agree with everyone else that there needs to be an evolution in regards to strategy. I liked very much what Alessio was saying earlier about kind of looking at the total asset, including the design. The other day I read an article about, I forgot the name of the hotel chain in Germany, who use a fixed rate as part of their marketing. And they only have, I think, a third of the year where they actually change the rates. Really hot moments. Sorry?
Motel One.
Yeah, that's it exactly. And for them, it's also like I said, Alessio said, and I think it was mentioned at other point, where the design comes into play, and you just know what to expect, and also you know the price that you will pay, because you go to a familiar rate. But going back to the role, the other thing, and I think that's also a generic wisdom for our future, the more tech gets involved and the more tech will take over mundane and simple tasks that we do, the more important become interhuman skills, interpersonal skills, what we talked about earlier as well. I have the data, but if I can't bring them and deliver them and convince and sell them, then all my expertise is useless. I'm in German, there's a term called Fachidiot, a subject matter idiot, basically, who's so specialized that he can only know one thing and nothing else. That won't be the case. I think in all of our roles in the future, we will have many duties and technology will support us.
But Flo, sorry, Chris. I think you bring up a really good point. So if it goes wrong, it goes wrong, right? So this is the thing that boggles my head a little bit around revenue management and hotels. To your earlier point, I think it was Diego, you said it, sorry, I can remember, but like, hey, why would you not invest in technology to actually foolproof or build your hotel, right? And especially for, depending on, it doesn't actually matter the size, but your income driving your revenue is the most critical thing you can do, right? If you go wrong on your revenue, you're screwed. You have consequences that are far beyond anything else. But and speaking from experience working in a hotel, but also talking to hoteliers now, it's like we fix on the flowers on the front desk and the standard operating procedures from welcoming a guest and saying their name 4 times during the check-in process. But this whole thing is like, no, we don't want to invest in a revenue management technology because it's expensive. And I'm like, okay, well, this is your lifeblood of a hotel, and if you screw this up, you might be out of business next year.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
And to be honest, I've seen a better business case for replacing carpets than for revenue management system. So that brings us to the final subject, which is what are the chances for an individual and hotels to invest in revenue management systems? Why would they? Thomas, can you elaborate on that?
Well, hey, perfect segue to the last answer. But if you have 700 rooms to fill, your challenges are much more around how do I have enough demand to fill those 700 rooms. If you have 20 rooms to fill, your chances of your challenges are much more around how do I actually maximize the profit of 20 rooms that I fill. And if you sell out, we're too cheap, right? You could have demanded more money from the market, but it's a different dynamic, right? So you need different things to play on revenue management of different types of hotels. And traditionally, and Nicolò, you referred to this, right? Revenue management was complicated, expensive, super hard to install, with interfaces that were difficult, and then on top of that, it required an expert, somebody like Diego who could actually understand pivot tables, and not somebody like me to operate a system. Well, the world has changed, and luckily the world has changed, and now it is much easier. PMSs offer easier integrations. It is much more. We're not in a perfect world yet, but we're going to one-click setups and very, very quick setups and operationalizing of products. And now this world becomes available for the smaller hotels. But let's define small between 10 and 60 rooms-ish. And these people of these hoteliers that are often operator, owner, and everything in one, their livelihood or their personal finances are under risk of actually screwing up, to my earlier point. So for them, this is the opportunity to actually tap in and use that technology. And the results, and if you talk to Lybra or to us or to any other system out there, if you do nothing and you start using a system, the results are astonishing. The return is just like a no-brainer. It's just like when people are connected, they're like, man, I should have done this so long ago. And we're like, okay, everybody in the industry told you. And this is for smaller hotels, the mindset has to change. It has to be, this is around your business. This is around your livelihood. And revenue is one of the most critical factors to actually be successful as a business.
Anyone else would like to take a shot on that question?
Yeah, I will take 2 minutes.
I agree with.
No, go ahead, Nico. Go ahead, my friend.
No. I was just confirming what. Sorry, this delay is bugging me as well. I was just agreeing with what you were saying, Thomas. That for small hotel, what you mentioned, I totally agree 100%. And also another point that I would like to add is the thing that sometimes, and especially nowadays in the economic situation that we're living, there's a lot of problems in the hospitality sector in terms of personnel, and we see that not only in hotels but also in restaurants. So technology in that matter helps as well, because if I don't have personnel, if I don't have like a specific revenue manager person that is in charge of that matter within, for example, in hotel, and I have a receptionist that does everything. Obviously, the receptionist does everything, but does everything to a certain extent. So if we can equip the personnel or the limited personnel with some technology that will help their daily job and to operatively make them an easier job, and also so that they can concentrate more on the guests, because at the end of the day, the job in hotel is also to be able that the guest is happy, and then the technology helping to do these operational things that probably if there's limited personnel they cannot do. So technology also helping, as I mentioned also before, in saving time in lots of areas. So that's why I think that the hoteliers, and especially small hoteliers, don't have to see it as a cost, but as an investment, because it will then fill the gaps in these areas where they also have problems. And I like the fact that you said also before, an analogy that lots of hoteliers they see us as a cost and not an investment, because I think that technologies per se, it's not a tangible thing. It's not something that you could see to the eye appealing. For example, there are some hoteliers that maybe they spend thousands of money maybe in a chandelier of the hotel because it looks amazing to the guests and to the to the image, but and they spend maybe just less money to, for example, revenue management system or other system that can bring eventually more money in. But it's a matter of perception as well. At the end of the day, we're all seller and buyers, and the perception also plays a role in this process, in the selling and buying process.
Okay, but I see what you're saying, but at the same time, to be fair, I think we have to also mention that the small individual hotels may have a cash flow restrictions, and therefore that cost is not just an investment, but it also is maybe a cash flow problem. So let's do around the table as well, and I'll ask like accumulated question to all of you guys. So the independent hotels will have to take into consideration profitability. They have to take into consideration costs, but also cash flow. There's sustainability in there, and then there's impact on guest satisfaction overall. How do you think they should be balancing all those things when considering technology? Shall we start from? And there's also food and beverage and the total revenue management in place. So we've got cost, profitability, sustainability, guest satisfaction, and total revenue management, mainly F&B. How do you think they should balance that? Alessio, could we take your point on that, and then we do the round the screen of the table?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I find it very, very funny because we are talking about how to sell a revenue management system today. Let people understanding the value that is an investment, thinking just to sell an F&B revenue management system that is even harder, because we are creating that need, because people that don't even think they have that need. So it's even harder today. And we are, and believe me, it's very, very difficult to make understand people, and we need to do a lot of trial. We need to run the analysis to let them see the money they earn by using, and that is not a cost, but it's an investment. No, at the end, it's very difficult for independent hotel to balancing everything. But I will say that sometimes I'm quite surprised from independent hotels. Because they go even a step further versus hotel chain. I'm saying so because and maybe due to my background, when I want to move something in an age, it was very, very difficult and take too long to do things, and that sometimes time is everything, especially for our business. So I see that in a way, independent hotel has a lot of opportunity because they can be very fast. When they want to try something, they can take a decision. And today, I think they also have one good thing. At least not with us, because we are right now the only one to do that for hotels. But in terms of revenue, they can try different tools. They have so many tools on the market. And they can find something that is adhere with their let's say with the cash flow needs. And don't get me wrong, but I'm pretty familiar with the cash flow right now due to a startup and we live on. But again, for me, balancing everything like the marketing and the things, you need to really understand and to have clear where are you operate, who are your of course your competitor, what you can do with the money that you have. But I believe there are I'm not agree when people say we are too small to implement the revenue management system, or we are not the right to have a marketing strategy. That is not so right. You can do a lot of things, and again, there are pros and cons when you are so small, because you are extremely fast in taking good decision or bad decision. Okay, so that doesn't mean that you make always things right, but at least you are fast. That is not happening in the big corporation. That sometimes I'm happy that I'm not more in a big corporation, because you sometimes you're struggling a lot to do things that you see clear, but it's not that clear for another person that is another stakeholder at the end.
All right, very good point. Nicolò, what's your take on the balance in between all these things that independent hotels need to struggle with? Nicolò?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. I think the key. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? I'm not on mute.
Yes.
Okay, so I was gonna say it's a very interesting question, and I guess the word balance itself, makes it all. At the end of the day, I think we need to try to create a balance in everything or what we do, because the balance is the ideal. Obviously, sometimes it's not as easy to find that balance, but we need to try to find that balance between all the things that we mentioned, or to be able to be successful. So obviously, especially as we said in small hotels where the risk is high, trying to find that balance is very important to be successful.
All right, so it's all about the balance. Good. Diego, what's your take? Profitability, sustainability, cost, technology. You're representing hotels, although you're a group, but I'm sure you'll have a good recommendations.
Yeah, it's a complicated question, because first of all, I think that high demand pricing are not good for guest satisfaction. I mean, what is the how is going to be your guest satisfaction if you are increasing prices? Okay, so it's complicated to link these two in a positive way, to link these two concepts, because sometimes when you have high demand, you need to increase prices because you are a revenue manager, but until what point? okay? Because sometimes the demand is so intense that you are not able to stop it by a pricing strategy, because there is a final in the Champions League, there is a concert in the city, there is whatever you want to have there, and the demand is so inelastic that you increase prices and you increase demand. So at what point a revenue manager stops to increase prices to look after the guest satisfaction? So it's a really complicated question right now in the industry. From my personal side, personal opinion, I think that revenue managers and commercial team need to have a cold mind sometimes, and you can't pass through this price point that you are not giving to the client the correct value. Okay, and this is really, really complicated to get nowadays in the industry. And also with the sustainability, I'm trying really, really hard to incorporate sustainability in our revenue perspective in the long-term vision, and it's getting complicated because in the short I don't see anything to link sustainability with revenue management perspective, and it's getting me on my nerve because I'm not able to get that point when a revenue manager gets pricing strategies and sustainability in the same perspective, in the same languages. It's taking me a lot of problems to think about that because I don't see the link. I see the link perfectly in sales. I mean, there is a niche market, which is now a niche that is going to be in 10 years the mass market. You will not be able to sell your rooms if you are not 100% carbon neutral in 15 years, for sure. But in terms of revenue management, I have some doubts right now. And it's taken me some time to link that to concepts. And I completely agree with Alessio that sometimes hotels with 15 rooms or 50 rooms do more than companies. If they want to do, they are the perfect environment to do whatever you want to do there because they are really fast, and the RMS industry, the RMS technology has democratized a lot in the last 5 years. I mean, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, having RMS was a really expensive tool in the sales and marketing perspective. But nowadays, you can have a lot of technology for less cost than a carpet. So I think that a small business has a lot of things to do, and they have a lot of potential to do that.
But they have the potential to do that exactly more than Dippo might be said groups. Yeah. Right, Flo, what's your take on the balance?
So every business, any size, should at some point on a regular basis do a bit of a SWOT analysis, look at your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats. If you're an independent hotelier, maybe a family business, possibly get someone in who's got a good understanding, but not the personal connection to the business, because sometimes that taints your vision. And in a nutshell, focus on your strengths, double down on what you do well, and seek help, either from technology or from consultants where you see weaknesses and threats. And if pricing is identified as a weakness, then hey, there's just easy, accessible, and affordable technology out there. It doesn't always have to be, in German we say, shooting at pigeons with cannons. And there's also with modern SaaS models, it's very easy to do a 30-day trial, get some peers who run similar businesses, ask them, what are you using? What impact did that have on your business? Did it move the needle? Yes, no. Because I'm also convinced that there's businesses out there. If you have a very remote location in a beautiful spot, there's no data around, there's no competition around how we technology suppliers supposed to recommend something when there's no data to work with, then an RMS might not be the solution for you. But it might be that you want to review your pricing strategy overall and get someone from the outside to help you rethink and break up old patterns. But it's just my two thoughts on this.
Yeah, very, very well said. Thomas.
Yeah, you have fantastic sayings in Germany, so I'm jealous. I could throw out some Dutch words, but go from there. Anyway, there's a lot said and there's a lot done. I think the ease of actually trying something is so much easier, and that's something where hoteliers should definitely take advantage of. I think to your last comment, Flo, the topic of competition is a really, really fun one, because I've worked for a long time at a review aggregator and review business, and we always ask people, what is your competition? And they always, it's a very difficult thing for hoteliers to grasp what competition is. Is it across the street where you actually have substitutes in terms of like direct competition, or is it actually, to your point, Flo, you're kind of unique and people are willing to travel to location A or to location B, which might be 60 of 80 kilometers different, but offer a somewhat similar experience. And when you also talking about competition, often with competition is people love to rate shop their competition, but rate shopping your competition and following that is not a guaranteed success, right? There might be complete idiots running those hotels on that side and your competition, and you follow their patterns in the wrong way that you shouldn't. Anyway, that's that. I'm talking about the topic. I'm by no means of stretch an expert on sustainability, so I stay away from that. But I do have some sense of the guest experience, and we actually did some work with a university in Switzerland on the guest experience. They did look at hotels that have implemented a pricing solution. They looked at the guest experience and the NPS scores before and after. And kind of the simple answer is there is no statistical impact or significant impact that is showing guest satisfaction to drop or increase. It dropped, the NPS dropped, and I have to quote the numbers correctly, but it dropped from it dropped from 61 to 58. So it is a very minimal decrease when you talk about guest satisfaction and the fact that hotels apply dynamic pricing. For most consumers, dynamic pricing is becoming more and more acceptable, right? We know this a long time from the airlines. It is completely fine when somebody boards a plane and sits next to you and might pay more or less. And it's becoming much more, to your point, Alessio, acceptable, or acceptable is maybe not the right word, but it's becoming more common in the F&B industry, where you see Young's Pubs did this in the UK. They actually did a 50-cent surcharge on a Friday when the bar is full, and they actually made their beers cheaper on days that nobody is drinking, or most people are not drinking at 10 o'clock in the morning. So it is becoming more acceptable. And I think hoteliers should get over that point where they actually are emotionally not able to sell their rooms at a certain price point. Diego, you mentioned this as well, and we're referencing all of you, but often the discussions I hear with hoteliers, they're not comfortable to actually charge this much for a room, while the systems or the market is actually able to actually require those rates. There's huge demand in the market. People are willing to actually pay that, and those rooms sell out. And even hoteliers say, I never thought I could sell my room for 350 euros. I think where the missing link, where the things go wrong, is if you charge those extremely high rates because of those extremely high demand periods, and people are willing to pay that rate, do make them feel extra special, right? Take those people that booked your last rooms and paid that if your normal rate is 150 and they pay 350, give them a little bit of attention and love. So you kind of like take out that pain of paying that bill, and you give them a little bit of a welcome cocktail or something at the bar, and that might cost you a couple bucks, but it actually goes a long way. And you should invest that extra money that you make as a hotel in that experience, not in carpets, but in experience, in the total overall experience of the hotel.
Well, thank you so much, guys. It's been an amazing conversation. I think we could go through lots of more questions and in time, but I'm conscious of that time. So just in order to wrap up, I think that in general, we have all agreed that the revenue management role in the hotel is the key one for business and for profitability. And it should go beyond just room sales. It should go into F&B. It should go into sales. It should go into marketing. And the accessibility of the revenue and the systems and technology, now that it helps, can actually enable that shift of the role. We all said that it's not easy for the independent hotels, but also we said it's not easy for the groups who take decisions longer, who approve business cases longer, unlike the independent hotels. But we need to have also a common, I guess, understanding of the real value, perception of value from the customer. So it's not just about the price, it's about the product and value. And in the end, customer willingness to pay the price for that product. So thank you so much, guys, for this conversation. Really interesting for me. May I call Vinicius out of the sky to see if there's any questions that we might have had along.
Hi, Kris. Hello, everybody. We have 2 questions, but we covered the 2 questions concerning all the answers you already gave. So it's going to be like extend. I don't think it's necessary. I would like to thank you, everybody, to be here. To thank you, Alessio, Thomas, Nicolò, Diego, Flo, Kris. Just will do a turnaround for you to say goodbye in the conclusion. And I just remember the public that we also have our academy, that's traveltechacademy.com. At the moment, it's still at no cost. You have courses with official certifications from Lybra, for example, from Nicolò Rolle. You have from the hotel networks. You have from the vice president of Sabre. So it's the unique academy in the world that you don't pay to get educated. And if you pass the exam, you get a certification. And also invite everybody that is here. DynamEat, Room Bright Jenny, Turbosuite, Palladium. If sometimes you like to do Travel Tech Academy with us, be welcome. We already provide more than right now the information that we have in the video. It's old. We have more than 4,800 already professionals that get the courses, that get better jobs, and everything that we do in travel tech, and then create travel tech to help people all over the world in our industry and to educate our industry, because they understand, as Nicolò said before, we still have people that don't have a booking engine or don't have a channel manager, and we want to offer them revenue management systems. So I think the entire world needs to be educated, and Travel Tech provide this space for everybody. So I will pass for all of you like this. You can go in the conclusion. I will start with Alessio. Alessio, co-founder of DynamEat. Your turn, my friend, to your conclusion and finish.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. That's been great to share the floor with you guys. For me, some of you are surprised, and I will make sure to include on my network. And thank you to you, Vinicius, for the invitation. I will be more than glad to discuss further how we can maybe add our 2 cents on the travel tech to be part of the courses and things, because no one more than us need to evangelize the industry about the need to apply the revenue beyond rooms. So feel free to contact me, to reach me out. I will be more than glad to participate, to be part of that.
I will do.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for the afternoon.
Thank you, Alessio. Just remind everybody that next year we start with US and Canada between February and March. By the end of the year, we're going to set the dates, and we're going to have Travel Tech UC Canada next year. So let's go with Thomas, Room Price Jenny, CMO. Thomas, thank you so much to be here. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I feel a little bit left out because I just realized all these guys come from Spain, and I sit here freezing in my cold office in Amsterdam. So I do something wrong in my life, but that's something I will figure out after that. Anyway, hey, I think a lot is said and done. For me, the conclusions are a little bit like, hey, give it a try and start openly minded thinking about, as a hotel, how can you use your total profitability, or how can you increase your total revenue? And don't be afraid, because it's a lot of especially the smaller and independent hotels have that little bit of fear of like, well, using a computer and using a system to actually dictate what I do. I think make the leap, follow the rest of the world, and if you see where revenue management used to be an advantage as a hotel to actually use, right? You were in a clear advantage if you were a Hilton or a Sheraton, because you could actually apply this and had the money and resources. These days, it's a disadvantage not to use it. You need to be you need to look at it differently and say, if I'm not using a system, I'm actually losing out to the rest of the world. So take that in consideration. And as said, there is so much to read and learn, and if it's from us or from any other vendor of Lybra and every guys, there's so many resources out there. Talk to the people; they're friendly. They want to educate you. So take that opportunity to learn something and get better. And Diego, I'll take you up on an offer to learn more about pivot tables.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Welcome, Nicolò Rolle. Nicolò, we have more than 16 years that we know each other. We work together in Travel Click. The time passed very fast. Nicolò, my dear friend, it's your turn.
Well, thank you, Vini. Yeah, it's right. We've been known each other for quite some time, and I appreciate that you keep inviting me to these forums. And I really appreciate to share knowledge with this great expert. It's always a learning activity for everyone, for me in particular. So thank you so much. I think that there's lots of touch points that we carried out in this session. Very informative. So thank you so much again for the time that you gave us.
Thank you so much, Nick. Diego De Ponga, Director of Revenue Corporate at Paladin Hotel Group. Your turn.
Thank you very much for the invitation, Vinicius, and really glad conversation about revenue management. I will take away 4 words: business, commercial, revenue manager. This is the future. I will take only that. This is the future.
Welcome, Diego. If you want to share the link where the people can get your book, we can publish this on Travel Tech, and for all our community, we can do that. Just share with me by WhatsApp directly, and we will set that for the people know your new book.
It's all in Spanish, but in January, in Fitur, I guess I will launch it in English. So for
awesome.
The Spanish-speaking countries, and in January for the rest.
Thank you so much, Diego. Flo, COO of Turbosuite, your turn.
Thanks, Vinny. Yes, I'm not muted. So I'm going to go back to the ancient Greeks. Heraclitus, philosopher, said the only constant in life is change. There's so much good technology out there. Anyone's running a business, it's their duty to revisit their processes and their tech stack once in a while. If you say we've always done it this way, you're going to be left behind. Like we said earlier, there's easy to attain, easy to use, easy to trial technology out there. Tech is moving so fast, and on a regular basis, you need to revisit this, give new tech a chance, see if you can change things and move your business ahead. And companies like represented here are out there to help your business grow, and Turbosuite is one of them.
Thank you so much, Phil. Welcome. So, my dear friend Kris Glabinski, Vice President of Aggregate Intelligence, it's your turn. Excellent moderation, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. That conversation is made by you guys. It's not about moderation. So I really appreciate the conversation. It's super interesting. I think that business commercial revenue manager is something that maybe it will stay. We also identified some struggles that each of us needs to. We all need to go through, whether we're in group hotels or we're in independent hotels. But let's just remember that, as we've said, also that it all matters when things go wrong. So if we're comfortable and good, everything is nice. But now is the time to make changes and invest in the future. because we have seen that some things that went wrong, right? And all of us are here because some of things went wrong, and we moved into exceptionally new roles and innovation that helped us survive that. So let's keep that in mind when we think about the future and when we think about business, commercial, revenue management roles in your businesses. And thanks so much, Vinny, for inviting me.
You're always welcome. Everybody's always welcome here. So everybody, see you soon. Take care. We finish the year. We see you next year. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Welcome to Travel Tech EMEA 2023, where the transformation begins. By becoming a sponsor at Travel Tech, you'll gain access to an exclusive platform to showcase your brand to a global audience. Here's why you should sponsor our event. Travel Tech provided knowledge to more than 167 countries. Travel Tech is the largest online event in the travel and hospitality industry, reaching the milestone of over 1,500,000 unique impressions in its events. Delivering to the world knowledge, free education, inclusion, and effective networking for evolution in the industry. Being an excellent means of showcasing your brand. Over 80,000 people attended our live events, generating more than 19,000 hospitality and travel-focused leads. Meet the sponsors of Travel Tech EMEA 2023.
In the bustling world of hotels, guests expect prompt, courteous service from booking to check-in, all the way to check-out. Meanwhile, the front desk is overwhelmed with emails, phone calls, check-ins, and guest requests. Introducing Guest Chat, a virtual assistant that helps your staff answer guest questions instantly via chat, 24/7, with a multilingual, fine-tuned white glove service. From booking to check-in, all the way past checkout. Join the revolution in hospitality service. Elevate your guest experience with Guest Chat today.
Analyze only a competitive set, or the total set. Study only prices, or 116 factors. Launch only one price, or 60 different ones. Do you prefer to fill only your accommodation, or your bank account too? TurboSuite, the next generation of revenue management.
Welcome to the future of hotel marketing with HS Latam. Our self-managed, easy-to-edit websites are designed to captivate and convert visitors into customers. High-standard website with top 1 speed in the world. Elevate your online presence with our digital marketing solutions. Reach the right audience at the right time. Optimize your sales strategy or maximize revenue and efficiency. And with our advanced Power by Analytics, track your success and make data-driven. HS Latam. Transforming hotel marketing worldwide. Introducing Travel Tech Academy, a platform offering free courses designed to share valuable knowledge from the best professionals in the travel and hospitality industry. Our mission is to provide inclusive learning opportunities for those who may not have the means to gain qualifications otherwise. With Travel Tech Academy, you'll have access to top-notch resources and insights that can help propel your career in the travel and hospitality sector. Over 3,500 professionals have already taken the course on our platform, acquiring knowledge and improving their professional profile. Many professionals, through Travel Tech Academy courses, have managed to find better job opportunities in the job market. For more information, visit traveltechacademy.com. And to become a sponsor of Travel Tech, get in touch through our website, traveltechspace.com, or by email at geraldo@traveltechspace.com. Travel Tech, what else?